Merry Christmas, everyone. We're visiting you as the ghost of bad green screen present here today. I have no idea if this is going to work out, but we were like, well, we're doing a Christmas review. We have to wear our Christmas clothes. And then we realized, oh, yeah, Christmas is red and green. So there's no way this can't be screwed up. So I'm just going to try and make it work. If not, then everybody, let's just ignore it and move on. And let's just talk about the important things when it comes to Christmas. Family, friends, love, caring, and 198 naked old men rampaging across the Finland countryside. So we are talking about rare exports today. Last year, because of a crazy series of events, we had time to record a review on Christmas. And we're like, well, what should we do? I don't just want to do a regular Christmas special. Oh, Die Hard. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Why not? So I think this is going to be a new tradition of ours, where every single Christmas we're just going to record a review for some weird holiday movie.
Like obscure, unusual, unorthodox.
Some kind of odd Christmas film, because I don't care about any of the mainstream Christmas films. It's all
the same, honestly.
We've all seen A Christmas Story 1,000 goddamn times. We don't need to watch that again. But Rare Exports is one of those films that I've been wanting to watch forever. I have always heard about this film, and went, you know what? This is my excuse. This is my time to finally come in here and watch it. And you know something? It's actually free on Amazon Prime right now, so yeah, go for it. I always enjoy those holiday horror films that kind of play around with, oh, you don't know the real story of Santa. You know, stuff like The Krampus. Which, it's impossible to watch this film and not compare it to The Krampus. And I will just come in here and say, I do actually like The Krampus way more than this one. But it's not like this one is just like, you know, Krampus Alpha. This one is something completely different. Did I say Christmas or Krampus? I don't know. You know what I'm saying.
Merry Krampmas.
Merry Krampmas. What this film is about is that up in Finland, there is this American company that is drilling into the Earth's crust, drilling into this giant mountain just past a giant wall of ice, because there's something down there. There's eccentric, rich American guy has spent his life just looking for this thing, this weird, mysterious thing that he won't talk about, but he's been obsessed with it his entire life. He must find. This guy would have been the villain in any other movie out there, except that he's not in this movie enough to really be that important of a character, but he is the reason why all this stuff is happening. But anytime that he popped up, I was just like, are you sure that you don't belong in like a superhero movie or something?
Like he's like the secondary villain.
Kind of, yeah. Except that, again, we just don't get enough of him for him to really be all that important. There was a moment in which I thought everybody had been killed off, and it was like, no, they just weren't there at the moment. Okay, well, that doesn't really feel like you should be leaving all this stuff alone at the moment, but whatever. But right next to where they're drilling is somebody who has a reindeer farm. And it's this guy, he has no wife, something happened to her. I don't know if they ever even bring it up in this film, but he's raising his son by himself. And this entire film is basically about him being this big, burly outdoorsman, and his son is still a kid. Like, his son just carries around a stuffed animal the entire time, and a gun, which, here's the thing, yeah, they're hunters. They're going to have guns, I understand it. They are never not with their guns. It became comical at one point, where, like, literally the kid goes outside to pee because they are that far into the wilderness that they don't really have running plumbing, or maybe it's just so cold that it's all frozen over. It's weird, though, because they do have electricity. But the kid goes outside to pee, and then he just goes, Papa, Papa! He comes running out just with his gun, and the kid has a gun strapped to his back.
Well, to be fair, they do mention wolves.
Yes, that's fair. That is fair. But, like, it was one of those things that halfway through this movie, I was like, have I seen either of these characters without a gun strapped on them at some point? Like, even when they're home, like, when they're sitting down and they're eating together, they've got, like, the guns, like, easily within grabbing distance of each other. I just went, yeah, well, I grew up in the woods. It is, you know, you do need to know where your guns are at all time. But is it really like that over in Finland? Wow, okay, sure.
But it's like, he didn't originally have the gun when he was, like, snooping around the Exhibition.
Excavation.
Excavation, that's the word. The excavation.
I know there's a lot of naked people in here, but it's not exhibition.
But, like, after the kid, like, thinks that they're, I don't know if I should spoil.
We're spoiling this whole thing, yeah, fine.
Alright, like, basically, they believe that the tomb of the original Santa Claus is buried in that mountain. So that's what the eccentric rich American billionaire is trying to dig up. That was his obsession his whole life. And like the Finnish kid and his friend was like kind of like an older
kind of like he looks like Nelson Muntz.
Yes.
He 100% looks like the bully on The Simpsons.
Yes.
Except with a mullet. Like if you took that, made a real life person, that's what it would be. But yeah, they go there, they're spying on that, and they cut a hole in their fence so they can get into that. And then the next day, the wolves come and, well, okay, we think it's the wolves, but all their reindeer are dead.
Yeah, they're like torn up, eaten, everything.
Yeah. And they're discussing like, we lost out on about $85,000 because of this, which that's that's not a small chunk of change. That's like their entire income for the next year. So because the kids are not going to speak up about this, the parents just assume, oh, there's a hole in the fence. It leads right into this excavation site. It's clearly those stinking Americans. They cut a hole in our fence for some reason. That let the wolves in. We have to go and talk to them. And then they go and they're examining this site, and it's just cleared out. It is just gone. Like, they can't find anybody in there. And it was at that moment that I just went, oh, this is kind of like the anti-John Carpenter's The Thing. Because it's a frozen tundra landscape, completely barren, except in John Carpenter's The Thing, it's a bunch of Swedish guys who get killed off, and then it's the Americans who come and go, what happened in this place? Here, I know that Sweden and Finland are not the same place, but they are neighbors to each other. So in this one, it's a bunch of Finnish guys who go to the American side, and everyone's gone, and they have to figure out what happened there. But that, I kept assuming, okay, so that's what this movie is going to be. It's going to be Demon Santa roaming around. This movie becomes something completely different, like right after that. Because the next day, one of the traps that they had set to catch these wolves, it ends up getting activated. And the dad goes out there, he examines it, and he finds, oh, it's a human being who fell in this thing. And they pull him out, and it's an old man, and they're trying to figure out what to do with him. Like, they're talking about this, and they can't go to the cops with this because the wolf traps they set up are illegal. And they're illegal for literally this exact reason.
Yes.
Because human beings could fall and die on a big pit of spikes. So they're trying to figure out what to do with it, and you want to talk about how rough and tumble these guys are. Cutting this guy up so that they can just dispose of the body is like the second thing they go to, and they just agree upon it. Like, there is no discussion even of, well, we could cut him up. No, that's inhumane. We don't know who this person is. It's just, well, we can't go to the cops.
Well, the thing is, they thought the guy was dead.
They did. They thought the guy was dead.
Turns out he wasn't.
But still, just like, that lets you know what these characters are like. They're just like, instantly just like, yeah, all right, chop the dude up.
Although, to be fair, they're out in the middle of nowhere, and they kind of have a slaughterhouse so they can, like, harvest the deer meat, so it makes sense.
I'm not saying it's not feasible they would do it. I'm just saying they don't really seem to have any qualms about chopping up a body. But then the guy starts coming back to life, and he starts coming back to life from weird little triggers, like when the young boy starts peeking in through the window to see what's happening. All of a sudden, he starts twitching around. Like, anytime that the child is nearby, he starts twitching around.
And gingerbread.
Which, by the way, this movie will make you want to eat gingerbread. I don't even like gingerbread, and I went out and bought gingerbread cookies right after this thing. Because, goddamn, this thing made me starving for gingerbread. Yeah, they eat gingerbread for every meal. Like, literally, it's their breakfast.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I get they can't catch any deer or anything, but if you can go and get gingerbread from a place, is there nothing else from said place you get? You can't get eggs from this place or anything like that? There's nothing else that you could be cooking right now? It's, oh man, it was so weird to me to just, like, it had to have been for the purpose of comedy. It had to have been for the purpose of comedy. To just see these guys sitting around with just a big plate of gingerbread. And it's like, this is your breakfast. It's good. Just,
yeah. And I remember the kid saying, he's like, when I'm done with breakfast, I can see the body, right? Or what was in the pit, right? And the dad just like, here's some more gingerbread, just piles.
You probably want more. Just loads his plate up with gingerbread. And this kid, you can tell from looking at this kid, he has been eating gingerbread like for every meal for days now. He is done. He does not want any more cookies. So what ends up happening is that this guy ends up coming back to life, and he's got one friend who can speak English, so he comes over and he's trying to communicate with him, but the guy just won't talk at all. They like end up wrapping him up because he's starting to get savage when he gets around this kid, which is a great moment in there in which it's the three adults in here, and they're trying to figure out what to do with this guy because he's just sitting there like naked, covered in dirt, just and then the little boy tries to come in, so the dad goes out there to talk to him, and the camera cuts to being outside as the dad is talking to him, and then all of a sudden you start hearing like clanging and like, no, get down, back, stay down, like all these shoutings coming from inside this shed. It's actually a really well set up moment there. Because it lets the audience know, oh, that's the trigger. That's the thing that is setting this evil Santa Claus off. And they begin to realize, okay, I think this actually is Santa Claus. And it's what those guys were digging for up there. How much do you think a Santa Claus is worth? $85,000? So they then get the Santa Claus. And by the way, at this point, the kid has been calling all of his friends. And none of them are answering. And all the parents are like, we don't know what happened to him. And it's so weird because one of the parents who came over, one of the adults who came over, the one who can speak English, is the father of the Nelson Muntz. And he doesn't seem to really care that his kid has gone missing.
It's like
he doesn't even like trigger with him at all. It doesn't even register in his mind.
Like he says, oh, he's probably out getting girls. He's at that age. Like he doesn't care about what his kid does, which is probably why his kid is such an asshole.
All the dads in here like just don't really seem. No one in this film seems like they actually care about each other. They all feel like they were just raised in a if you starve to death, then that's just life. Like that kind of environment.
I guess so, but I mean, considering they're out in the middle of the wilderness, like...
I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, it just paints this picture of the barren landscape they had to grow up in. This tundra of just nothing but survival skills being taught them their whole life. Like, that's the feeling you get from these people. So they end up taking the Santa Claus up to meet with the eccentric rich billionaire. And they're taking the Santa Claus up there, and they've got the kid in the truck seat with them, and they've got the Santa just in a cage in the back, dressed up as Santa, by the way. And he's just there, like, peeking down at the kid. And I remember at that moment, I just turned to you and went, this is a terrible plan. This is an awful plan. This is going to go wrong in so many ways. So they get up there, they decide to trade him off, and the rich billionaire looks at him and goes, this isn't Santa Claus. This is one of his helpers. And then, like, the last few remaining Americans there just start getting picked off, just grabbed and just pulled into the darkness. And then just, like, 200 naked old men in beards just start come walking up out of the shadows. And they show everything, by the way. And I have no idea how they got this many old men to just walk around naked in like below freezing temperatures. I felt so bad for these guys. I hope they got paid very well.
Oh, they're finished. They're used to walking around naked in the cold.
This is probably like the Polar Bear Club up there for them. But there's a weird moment in here that I might have missed the setup for this earlier on. But the little kid is walking around the base and he finds a big barn with a 24 on it, and just goes, the last door. And I went, okay, this is the advent calendar. Okay, that's pretty good. But he goes in there, and there's just a giant frozen block of ice with horns coming out of it, like Godzilla-sized thing. And that's obviously Santa Claus, and these are all of his elves that they've been mistaking for Santa Claus this whole time. But that was so weird to me. Why did the rich billionaire think that these guys might have Santa Claus when they already had Santa Claus in a frozen block of ice literally on their base? Yeah, okay, you were about to say something. I was like, no.
I thought, maybe digging up the tomb, triggered the elves.
Yeah, but they said
they realized, we have to get Santa out of here. We have to thaw him out. Because you remember, I
thought the elves were trying to thaw him out.
Yeah, the elves were, I thought,
Yeah, it's not them that you can really think about. Like I said, they call him up, they say, we have Santa Claus. The guy looks up to examine it and then goes, wait, this isn't Santa Claus. I was like, yeah, you know that. Santa's in the block of ice that's on your property. What? Unless maybe the elves pulled him out, but how the elves operate all the machinery to pull him out? Because he's like in like a big like stasis trap almost.
Maybe he thought like Santa Claus was the Krampus.
The Krampus isn't even set up in this thing. It's all no, there's no explanation for it. There's just nothing. So, what ends up happening is that they're all trying to figure out what happens as it becomes Night of the Living Dead, as all the adults barricade themselves inside of this giant barn, and all the kids that have gone missing are in sacks, all at the feet of Santa Claus. So the elves have set up all these heaters and all these ovens and anything that creates heat, and they're just putting it around Santa Claus, pointing it out, and then at the feet of this giant ice sculpture, almost like presents around a tree. Which
Yeah.
I don't think they were going for that, but it's a great metaphor. It like works incredibly well in here. Are just these kids in sacks. So the parents are freaking out. They have no idea what to do. And then all of a sudden, this little kid who has spent the entire film, like, just having everybody tell him that he needs to man up, all of a sudden just turns into an action hero. It is preposterous, the character turn that he takes in here. Because it is out of nowhere. He's been carrying around a stuffed animal the entire time, and then all of a sudden he just goes, "I'm sorry," and sets it down, and then walks into the barn, and then he cocks the shotgun, fires it off, and goes, "No, I have a plan. All of you will listen to my plan. It must be done exactly like this." And all these adults are just like, all right, he's speaking with authority right now, so we're all gonna listen to him. Clearly he knows what's up. It is one of the weirdest turns that I have ever seen a character take, because it's not weird that you would have the characters being told, okay, you have to step up, to suddenly step up at the end. It's that he becomes Schwarzenegger at the end of this. Like, he is just flat out like, I will do the big action stunt scene in here. Like, he's doing the Tom Cruise riding around on the bottom of a helicopter scene at the end of all this. It is so bizarre. And I kept looking at this going, this isn't even the same film that we had been watching. Because it had been a horror comedy up until this point. It's a flat out action movie at the end of this thing. And his plan is he's going to load all the children into a net and have the helicopter come and pick the net up and then carry it, and all the elves are going to run with him. Just run, follow them over to the pin that they had set for the reindeer, and they're going to capture all the elves inside this pin. And I just kept looking at this going, there's so many problems with this plan. Like, the kid is riding on the outside of the net, and it's this weird moment where it's almost like Never-Ending Story or something. Where they're riding around and they're swinging around, and the little kid is just going, Yahoo! I went,
This isn't
sure.
really the time to do Yahooing.
Sure.
I mean, you got like killer elves chasing you.
Like, this kid is now having the time of his life. This kid, it is the I'm riding the big dog dragon at the end of Never-Ending Story. Just like, yay! Never-Ending Story. Naked elves running after me. But they get to the pins, and I kept looking at this going, who's going to lock the pin? Like, the pin has to be open. Who's going to lock this thing? And then the kid decides that he's going to get that. But I was like, did you not think about this at all? Because the kid has to get down there, and the weird thing is, he's not even getting down there to lock the pin. He's getting down there, I think, to
activate the electric fence.
That was it. He was getting down there to activate the electric fence. Yes, but I still kept looking at that going, yeah, but somebody still had to close the pin. Who was going to do that? There was no one ever assigned to this thing. But what ends up happening is that you've got the two other dads there drilling holes into the big block of ice, shoving dynamite inside, and then when they get far enough away, they blow the thing up, which I love. They also, before they leave, they buzzsaw off one of Santa's
No, they
horns.
buzz off two of them.
Oh, two of them?
Yeah.
Oh, I only saw one of them.
I saw one of them get carried out, but while they were driving away, I saw two horns on the back of the truck.
I missed that then. Okay, but yeah, they cut off his horns just to have his souvenirs, which, in all fairness, I can understand that. There's a kick-ass souvenir. That's a kick-ass trophy right there. So they're driving away, they blow the thing up, and the kid, he has to jump down to activate the electric fence, and then he's just standing there like, yes, I am ready to be killed. Yes, this is it. This is my big heroic sacrifice moment. And then there's the explosion, and then all the elves just go, oh. Like they no longer have a drive. They no longer have like a boss telling them what to do. So they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. It's just a bunch of naked old men just standing in this pin, just, huh? And the kid's like, yay! I survived! They did it! They killed Santa up there! Hooray! And I still just kept looking at this going, even if they hadn't have killed Santa, the elves would have killed you. Who was going to close the pin to keep the elves inside? I mean, the elves are in the pin right now because they were following the kids. But was the guy just going to hover above them with the kids until the two other adults drove their ass? Because like you got down here quick because you were in a helicopter. Those two guys, they had to drive down snowy roads on the mountain. Who knows how long it would take them to get down there? Those kids would die of frostbite up there in that thing. Which I love that there is a moment in which they do stop and go, "Won't the kids be cold?" And they don't even answer that thing. Like they're just like, "Yeah, the kids are going to be outside in the cold." Also, 300 feet above everyone else, where it's nice and warm because heat rises like that.
They're also all in sacks and they're smushed together, and I'm surprised none of them suffocated.
Yeah. Oh, this is a terrible plan. Like, I know that this is meant to be like a joke, but we have not seen stupid comedy like this up until this point in this film.
Yeah.
So it just totally took me out of this entire film. So it is so goddamn weird. But yeah, I just kept looking at it the whole time, just going, who the hell was going to close the pin? Like, was the guy flying the helicopter going to drop down for a second? Because I mean, he can't even drop down on his own because someone he'd have to drop down and then like get the kids out of the bags before he could actually land there. Like someone would have to undo the bags, I guess, which maybe he can do that from there, but I don't think he can. Anyway, but yeah, there was like no one to close the pin. If they had not blown up Santa and that didn't just have a magical effect on the elves, your sacrifice was about to be for nothing, kid. But what happens at the end of this thing, what's weird is that I was trying to figure out, okay, is this Finnish? Is it Swedish? Is it Norwegian? So I had to look it up during the film. And while I was on Wikipedia, I saw that this was based on a short film that was all about a group of hunters who trap wild Santas and ship them across the world.
Like they trained them.
That's what the title of the film was, Rare Exports, because I never understood what the title of this film was supposed to be about. And I told you that while we were watching the film, and we both went, wow, it is so weird that this movie is 100% different from that. That's what happens at the end of this film.
Yes.
At the end of this film, they look at each other and go, so we have 198 elves. Do you think each one is worth $85,000? And then they do the math, it's like, that's a couple $1 million right there. Oh my God. And then it cuts to them like putting them in Santa boot camp where they've got these guys and they're just standing there with dolls of children just like patting them and handing them the presents. And one of them's just like, oh, maybe I'll take the present. No, bad, that is not for you. But then another one is there like, yes, hand the present. This one is Ray. And then they just load his ass in a Santa costume onto a big like cartoon Looney Tunes style crate, just type in there Zimbabwe, and then like, just, was that where it was?
Was it Zanzibar?
Zanzibar, that was it. Sorry. So they...
I don't think it mattered.
The point is, all over the world.
Yes, they're shipping all these Santas all over the world now.
And the final shot is them, like, opening up, like, the big base that they've been training them inside. And outside, you see, like, fleets of ships. And the guy who was the helicopter pilot, he's there in the, like, setting sun, like, with aviator glasses on, just like, It's like, what the fuck, what?
Like, it feels like this entire, like, story was written by, like, a little kid who wanted to be, like, a total badass. Like,
that's what it feels like at the end of this film.
Yes.
A little kid, like, went up to the dad who was writing the script and was like, I don't know what to do about this. I gotta go and take a walk around the neighborhood. And the little kid, like, pulled out the chair underneath it and, like, sinned. That's what it feels like. It feels like it takes that kind of a turn. Because, again, it's not even just that the kid becomes a badass. It's that he becomes such a cartoonish badass when we haven't had that level of cartoonishness in this film. Like, this film is a very, like, harsh, realistic look at, like, surviving out there in the wilderness. But there are jokes. There are jokes like the fact that the thing they have to survive on is gingerbread cookies. Yeah, okay, that's a good joke in there. And, I mean, you've got a wild Santa Claus that they have caught out there in their slaughterhouse. Yeah, there's a joke in there. But it's not cartoonish stuff.
Yeah.
And at the end of this, the total shift that it takes is so bizarre. that it's just, it took me completely out of the film.
Like, I'm honestly curious about, like, I want to watch
The short film?
The short film that's
Yeah.
based off of. Like,
Yeah, I'm very interested to see that because if you just had a short film about what happens at the end of this movie, that's okay. That's completely fine. It's
the lead up to the
It's
ending.
merging this into, like I said, it felt like John Carpenter's The Thing. So like these two, wow, not going together at all. Yeah, it's such a weird movie. And like I said, I spent years wanting to see this, and I could not find it anywhere. And man, this was not worth the build up to this thing. Like I said, Krampus is better, and Krampus is easily available for everybody out there.
Like, honestly, I thought at the ending, they were just gonna, like, slaughter all the elves and sell them as deer meat.
I thought that too. I thought that's exactly what was going to happen. I thought they were going to chop them up because they even set that up where they were about to chop one up in the slaughterhouse because they still have to meet their quota of reindeer meat this year. And I thought they were going to like ship out elf meat. It's like, no, this is reindeer meat. It's 100% reindeer meat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Don't ask any questions. And I could picture like the end joke of this being like it was their best harvest yet, and everybody wants more of
Like,
this
maybe
delicious
eating
reindeer meat.
maybe eating elf meat gives everyone Christmas cheer or something like that.
So then they become,
This meat tastes like gingerbread.
yeah. So like next year, like, all right, we have to go back into the big pit and just lure out a bunch more elves. Yeah, man, it's an odd film. If you just want to see something weird and you've already seen, some other weird, better things out there for Christmas, it's still worth a look. I'm not coming in here and saying it's bad. It's worth a look. It's a very interesting film, and it does have high points in there, but oh man, it's not really a well-made film towards the end of this. But it's so poorly made at the end that it's still worth watching. Just go, oh my god, they did this. Like, this is where this movie went.
Like, I can't believe they did that.
Yep. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Let us know if you've seen this, what you thought of it down below. Let us know what your favorite weird Christmas movies are. Not the, Santa Claus is coming to town stuff. I'm talking, bizarre stuff.
Yeah.
So let us know that in the comments down below, and hope you guys enjoy your holidays. Bye, everyone.
Bye.